Oh, this is gonna hurt, man. We're gonna compromise. I can't do it. This is gonna upset a lot of people, I think. What is the point in buying this book now if you're not gonna read it for like 12 months? I don't think I can get rid of these, actually. If I'm telling you that I don't like something, why are you telling me to read it? I've been disappointed with that since the day that I got it. I'll never read it, but it's staying. I feel like I've needed to do this Unhaul for like the last 5 years. Just before we get into it, I would like to say a big thank you to the sponsor of today's video, which is once again the wonderful Book of the Month. I am absolutely positive that the majority of you will be familiar with Book of the Month by now, but for those of you who aren't, Book of the Month is a monthly book curation service that offers you guys the hottest titles across a range of genres in hardback for a price that you will not be able to beat elsewhere. Book of the Month was also previously a US only subscription, but it is now also open to Canada. Now I am going to show you guys my top 2 picks from December's Book of the Month titles, but before I do just want to say that Babel by R.F. Kuang is one of the December options. This is a very hyped fantasy release that is coming through in all of those best of the year videos and lists by places like Goodreads and Waterstones. I personally already have a copy, but if I didn't, I absolutely would have picked this one. But you guys know me, if I'm not picking up a fantasy, then I'm definitely picking up a romance. So my top pick for December is Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane, which is a romance about a woman who falls in love with a woman that she meets on Christmas Eve over the course of a night, and something happens in the morning. They get separated. She never sees her again up until the landlord at the coffee shop where the main character works proposes a marriage of convenience so that he can access his inheritance and the main character can achieve financial stability. So she agrees, only to find out that the man's sister is the woman that she fell in love with that fateful Christmas Eve. My second pick was the thriller of the month, which is actually an early release, and that is All of the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham. The reason why I picked this is because it contains one of my favorite thriller tropes, which is a true crime podcaster, as this is following a woman whose child was stolen from his crib, I think 1 year prior to the start of this story. And since then, she has developed a pretty heavy case of insomnia where she literally barely sleeps unless she passes out. So one day, a true crime podcaster invites her onto his podcast to go over like her version, like tell her story of what happened with her child. And as the podcast progresses, the main character's insomnia paired with the podcaster's increasingly intrusive questions makes the main character start to doubt her own version of what happened the night her child went missing. So if either of these sound interesting to you and you would like to try out Book of the Month for yourself, you can of course head into my description box, click on the link right at the top, enter the code WONDER at checkout and get your very first Book of the Month for just $5. And once again, a big thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. So last night on Patreon, I asked what kind of unhaul people enjoy, because I tend to do like your typical sit down, these are the books I'm unhauling and this is why kind of video. But I gave everybody the option of like an unhaul with me style, which I've never done before, but essentially like you go through all of your shelves and talk about like you look for things to unhaul and talk about why you're maybe thinking of unhauling them as you go. So that is what we're going to be going with, but I don't actually have the time to film that today. But what I do need to do, what I am doing today, is doing a big clean of my house, kind of like the pre-Christmas clean. And I have a stack of books, or a couple of stacks of books, that don't have a home, so I could really do with taking some of the books off my shelves that I know I'm going to unhaul, so that I can tidy and put all of the books that I am keeping that don't have a home onto my shelves. So that is what we're going to do, and we're going to be starting off with this one next to me, which you never see this shelf. This is a miscellaneous shelf. But the first things, if you saw my video as well, where I think it's going up before this, where I unhaul a bunch of series, those guys are going to be obvious targets for this video. So I'm going to start off by This Hurts, but we're taking all of the True Twitch books off. I read the first one, I had a paperback, I read the first one, really enjoyed it, and I got the rest in hardback, and then I hated the series, which they're beautiful, beautiful books as well. But I just, if I read the final book, I'll just buy the book, read it, and then give it away again. They're beautiful, but they gotta go. Also, just kind of while we're on this shelf, we have Murders of Graham Catton. Right, let's move Amari down. The Murders of Graham Catton by Katie Lowe. This is a thriller. I really like The Furies by Katie Lowe. It's one of my favorite books, but this one I think was like a 3-star thriller for me. You guys know that I don't keep thrillers after I've read them unless there's an exceptional reason, but with this one I think I just kind of forgot about it because it's on this shelf. Something else that I'm seeing on this shelf is The Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabatia. This one is the 4th book in the Ember Quartet. I did this as a series in a week. I read the whole Ember Quartet in a week, and I had to buy this in hardback because it wasn't out in paperback, but I have the rest of them in paperback, and I actually might, when I get to them, I might unhaul the paperbacks as well, like the entire series, because I don't think I don't care about the series enough to actually replace this one, but I know that I don't want like 1 hardback and 3 paperbacks. So yeah, I'm actually gonna stop doing, unless I feel like it in the moment and it becomes like an impromptu kind of thing, I'm gonna stop doing series in a week, because I've noticed that if I read the series back to back, then it doesn't stick in my mind. Like I could tell you so much about the Lunar Chronicles that I read in 2015, and I could tell you so much about like Throne of Glass that I've read like over a space of time. But An Ember in the Ashes and The Bone Witch, I do not remember all that much about them because I read them over such a short period of time. I'm not going to touch my classics, which are at the top, and I'm also not touching my, I see how far back I can tilt you. Oops, we don't need to zoom in as well. This is the wonkiest angle. Right at the top is classics, and then here we have manga, which I'm not touching. My Cassandra Clare collection, she's a nostalgia fave. I don't like her anymore, but I did, so we'll keep all of these. And if we move down just a little bit, the very bottom has a bunch of miscellaneous stuff on, and then this shelf down here is my middle grade and also Curtis's like original copies of Harry Potter. So then we just have this one, really. You know what, actually? This, I don't need this. The Dragon Republic by, oh hello, The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kong. I won this in a giveaway that Harper Voyager did after I'd read The Poppy War, and I did intend to carry on with this, but recently I've just decided that it is not for me. But look, congratulations, I hope you enjoy them. I have actually DNF'd the other series that I got in this giveaway as well, so it's safe to say that I did not enjoy them, so that is going. Then this one, You Love Me by Caroline Kepnes. This is the 3rd book in the You series, which I really love, but I don't want a hardback of this. Like, I don't need a hardback of The Sky Between the Storm, I think it's called, because I had the others in paperback, and while I generally don't keep thrillers, I do keep this series, but I don't need one random hardback when I don't have the other 2 in hardback. And I think that we're done for over here. I feel like I need to keep in mind that I don't have time to commit to this video today, because I feel like I'm already really getting into this, but the goal that we have right now is to just clear some space on my shelves so that I can put all of these paperbacks. There's 11 homeless paperbacks down here that I've acquired over the last couple of months, but these shelves are like legitimately full. This is where Eye of the World was, so this isn't like a genuine space. So we're just going to get rid of some really obvious stuff, and then I'll come back at a later date and look through things properly, maybe get rid of some more things. But something that's really obvious, once again based off that series video, is, oh, this is gonna hurt, man, all of these Sookie Stackhouse books by Charlene Harris. I painstakingly collected these over the years from charity shops, which is the only reason why I have any attachment to them. Just the dedication that I went to get every book in this series. But I'm 4 books into this series and I actually despise it, and I haven't touched it in 3 years. So Sookie Stackhouse is finally going bye-bye. So I've actually just realized that I'm not solving any problems here, because the books that need to go on my shelves that are in the way are now just being replaced with more books that I'm unhauling that I obviously don't have a home for, and I do want to keep them until I finish this video, which I think I'm only going to revisit this in a week or so. But we've started now, so we can't stop here. Something that I just don't need anymore is the Ark of Assai series by Neil Shusterman. I have just got the new short story collection Gleanings in paperback, but I've also just got the Fairy Loot editions of this, so I don't need my old paperbacks. Although if I ever reread them, I feel like I would want to go with paperback, but I don't need duplicate copies. It's one of my favorite series, but not to the point where I need multiple editions of it. And then I think lastly for now, because like I said, the point of today is not to do this entire thing, just to give me a little bit of space so that I can move on with what I need to do today. We're gonna go ahead and Unhaul the other 3 Ember books. Oh, and one more. Bone Crier's Dawn and also Bone Crier's Moon by Catherine Purdy. These are both the Illumicrate editions, but I didn't like Bone Crier's Moon. I've just DNF'd it in that video. So I don't want to read Bone Crier's Dawn. And on that note, I will see you guys on the flip side when we come to unhaul some more stuff. How much have we got already? That is that's 31 books already, and that's just like my first impressions, like instantly what I know I need to unhaul. Back again, I was moving all of the books from the top like along into the gap that Suki Stackhouse created, and I found these Michael Grant books, which this is one of the first books that I ever bought from Waterstones, along with Beautiful Creatures. I got them on buy one get one half price, but I've never read it. It's a really long series, and while a lot of people I know are going to say that it's good and it's their favourite series ever, I'm just not really a YA girl anymore, so I just don't feel like it's going to be for me. I don't know. Okay, no, we're going to compromise. I can't do it. We're going to get rid of Berserk because I don't think I want to read this, and we will keep the Gone books for now, I think. Similarly, I just found Spellslinger by Sebastian D. Castell. I read, oh, my bookmark's still in it. I read 136 pages of this and I DNF'd it, and I thought that I would maybe come back to it at some point, but I don't think I'm ever going to, which is sad because I do really like the covers for this series, and I also know a lot of people who really love this series, but it's just like a really fun, fast-paced YA story that's a little bit like slapstick in its humor, which is just really not my kind of thing. I do still have Traitor's Blade by Sebastian D. Castell, which is his adult series, so I'm definitely going to be giving this one a try, but I do think that I'm deluding myself if I think that I'm ever going to come back to this one. On my desk I had the first 3 books in the 5 Crowns of Ochre series by A.K. Mulford, which was sent to me by Harper Voyager because I interviewed the author recently. I read the first 1.5 of these and I do think that they're decent, it's just they're not really for me. They're more like fun, fast-paced adventure stories with some romance in there. I do really love the representation in this series though, and I think that they're a good time. They're just not to my particular taste, so I do want to unhaul these and give somebody else a chance to enjoy them because I do think that a lot of people would have a really good time with these. Upstairs I had a box of books that I'd put all of the books from my last haul in to bring them back upstairs, and then I kind of forgotten about it. I've come up here to unpack that and put everything back on the shelves, but my romance shelves are getting a little bit full, and they're awkward as well because like I can only fit whole books in some of them and short books in some of them, so they're not in alphabetical order and it's really annoying. 2 books that I put up here to put back on the shelves that once again after that series video I'm going to be unhauling them, and that is the first Bridgerton book, The Duke and I, which I really didn't like. I do still maybe want to continue and pick up the second one if I find it secondhand, but I don't think I need to keep this one anyway. And also The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, which is the first book in the Dreamland Billionaire series, and it is once again a romance that I didn't really enjoy. And yet again another follow-up from that video, we have Twice in Destiny and Taunting Destiny by Amelia Hutchins, which are 2 fantasy romance, like indie fantasy romances that I didn't like. I really don't like the abilities of the Fae in here. It's very like a sexual magical power and it's a little bit creepy. I didn't like it. Up top, which you can just see up here, I have 2 copies of A Promise of Fire by Amanda Boucher. I have the regular UK paperback and I have this one, which came in a Fox and Wit special edition, and Fox and Wit reached out to me, I'm just gonna put this down a bit, and asked me if I wanted to be a very short-term rep for this particular box, and I said yeah, but it was supposed to be a hardback, but because of like supply and demand issues and the paper shortage, it ended up being a paperback, which is fine, and I think it's a very pretty paperback. I do really like the new reprinted paperbacks for these, and I love the pink sprayed edge, but I do have the standard UK paperback, and I have actually met Amanda Boucher and had it signed and personalized at Rare. So while this is the better edition, this is the one that matches the rest of the series for me, and it's also signed and personalized, so I'll be unhauling this one. I won't be unhauling though the bookmark that came with it. I'll be keeping that. So it's been a week and I'm ready to take another crack at this now. I don't know when to stop. I was thinking about this, like I know what date I'm posting this video, but I don't know when to end the video. Like I don't know when I'm going to be done because I feel like I could keep going through and like weeding stuff out depending on my mood. So we'll see what I get through today. I don't know if I want to do upstairs today, which is the romance and the special edition shelves. I actually also don't know if there's anything on there that I need to unhaul aside from what I've already done. But we're going to be dipping back into this bookshelf here. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the room again and see what we can, the Unhaul cart's under there as well. I haven't decided what I want to do with the Unhaul project and the Unhaul cart, so I don't know whether I want to just like go through and take out things that I know I don't want to read, or whether I should just throw the whole thing in the bin. But this shelf, so we're still not touching the classics or the manga. Yeah, I don't need to touch any of the manga either. This shelf here, I am unsure about this one. Cloud of Sparrows by Takashi Matsuoka. This is one that I picked up at a charity shop. It's like a historical fiction, I think. If anybody's read this, let me know, because I don't think I am going to unhaul it, but because it's just such a random left field book, I don't know when I'm ever going to pick this up. If we go down a little bit further over here, you have all of, well, some of my larger paperbacks are down here, and I don't think there's anything there that I want to get rid of either. And then down on my middle grade shelf, I do have the, is that what, is it called the Ink series by Cornelia, is it Funke? Cornelia Funk. These I picked up at a car boot sale, not knowing that they were middle grade until I got them home. And I'm not against them because they're middle grade. I just don't really reach for middle grade, and I am exceptionally picky. I pretty much just read whatever Gavin tells me to at this point. So I don't know that I'm ever going to pick these up. They're about a girl who, like, does her dad bring the stories to life? Yes, when her father reads, the words come alive and dangerous characters step out of the pages. So we will unhaul these for now, I guess, which works out really well for me because now I have space on my middle grade shelf and I can move things like the Amari books down to where they should actually be. So hopping down here, we have a shelf that I always forget that I've got because it's just got, it does have books on that I do read and I do pull from it. Like the majority of the books that we have across the bottom here, I've read. Some of these, like I've read all of the Bone Season, I've read one City of Brass book, I've read the Bane Chronicles, and then this is kind of just short hardbacks. And while a lot of these are not the thing that I would typically read these days, I do still want to give the majority of them a try before I decide that I don't want them anymore. Saying that though, I'm pretty sure that I've read Everless by Sarah Holland back at a time when I actually used to read and enjoy YA, and I don't think I liked it very much then. I'm gonna go get my phone and check out my rating for Everless because I got Evermore and then never read it. I remember nothing about this. If I didn't enjoy it, however many, when was this published? Oh, it's got gorgeous end pages. But if I didn't enjoy this in 2018, which I actually thought it was before that, then I'm not going to enjoy it now when I don't read a whole ton of YA anymore. So we'll check out what the rating on this was. I gave it 4 stars. Did I say anything about it or did I just give it 4 stars? No, I don't have a review. The average rating on it is 3.8, but I don't think I ever want to read the sequel to this because I would have to reread the first one and I don't remember anything about it. Yeah, like I'm reading the like just a bit of the book and nothing is making any sense. Like I don't recall anything here. It ain't ringing any bells, so I guess these two are going as well. Once again, time for the big boys. The angles are a little bit weird in this video, I know, but I'm trying to make do with sunlight and it is currently 2 p.m. So we don't have a lot of it left. I don't typically, as y'all know, I don't typically unhaul like this. So I'm not sure what my process is going to be for these ones because these are obviously like my main shelves. So I guess I'm just going to scan and see if there's anything that jumps out at me. I'm surprised that I've unhauled this much already. So I don't know, like I just keep thinking there's not much more that I can unhaul, but it still keeps coming. Do you also have my glasses as well because I cannot see up there without them. Honor Among Thieves by Rachel Kane and Anna Guire. I believe that this was sent to me unsolicited by a publisher and it's a YA sci-fi. I've never heard anybody read this. Like I don't know anything about it. It is a nice copy though. It's a nice floppy edition. Am I ever gonna reach for it though is the thing, because like I've never read anything from, did Rachel Kane write the Morganville Vampires or something like that? I feel like Rachel Kane wrote a popular like YA vampire werewolf series. I don't know who Anna Guire is, so I feel like I should at least give it a try. Should I make a separate pile of things to do a try a chapter tag of things I'm just really not sure about? Okay, we'll start that now. Put this somewhere and we'll see how many we have, and like I guess I'll just reevaluate that pile later on in this video. Oh boy, is it finally happening? Did I read this? I can't remember if I ended up reading this at some point, but we are unhauling the John Green books that I haven't read. I used to love John Green, and if John Green wrote new books, I might consider picking them up. Like I read The Fault in Our Stars, Looking for Alaska and Paper Towns, like a good upwards of 5 years ago, more like 7, especially for The Fault in Our Stars. And then when Turtles All the Way Down came out, I read that as it was released, and I enjoyed all of those. I gave Turtles All the Way Down 5 stars. These ones are the ones that I've heard less good things about, and I have this thing where I feel like if I enjoy an author, I have to keep all of their books to show that I enjoy them as an author, but I don't. Especially when it's John Green, who, like, I loved him when I was younger, and now I'm not a John Green stan. Like, I'm not going to read this and love it the same way I may have done if I'd have picked it up and read it when I was 20, 18, that kind of age. So I think it's time to let go of these 3. My shelves look terrible now. There's so many gaps. The problem with this as well, actually, is that I'm clearing these, but my book buying habits are nowhere near as bad as they were. Like, I don't buy books for the sake of it anymore, because I think, what is the point in buying this book now unless it's a special edition? What is the point in buying this book now if you're not going to read it for like 12 months? So I buy paperbacks when I need them, and all of the new books I'm getting are like subscription boxes and special editions, and they're not paperbacks. So these shelves, I'm clearing space here, and that's all well and good, but this isn't where I need the space anymore. Okay, so I did that series DNF video, and I did DNF this series. I'm still unsure about that, actually, because I did enjoy this one. It's like a nice palette cleanser thing, nothing groundbreaking, pretty much the same thing as Illuminate, but not as good because it's not mixed media. But I had a decent time with it. It was this, because I've read the Aurora Cycle and the Illuminate Files, it's kind of like a type of story that's comforting to me at this point. So I might pick this up at some point. I didn't love it. It was like 3 stars, but it's like a good time, you know. It's my kind of palette cleanser. So I'm not 100% sure that I am for sure DNF in this series, so we'll hold on to these ones for now. Is it time to get rid of these, the Gregory McGuire books? I love the concepts of Gregory McGuire books, the way that they're like adult twisted fairy tales. I cannot stand his writing style. I really can't. I think that he overwrites things, and it's just so convoluted and pretentious, and I hate it. That being said, I think I did enjoy Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister. I didn't read What the Dickens, and I have the rest. I might keep this one because I did like this. And I also have down there, I have Mirror Mirror. I don't think I can get rid of these, actually. I might get rid of What the Dickens, and I might keep Wicked, because I do actually have 2 nice copies of the sequels to Wicked. I've read Son of a Witch. I have Lion Among Men that I haven't read, and then in Waterstones they were just ridiculously expensive paperbacks for some reason, and at the time that I read them I couldn't afford to buy ridiculously expensive paperbacks, so I kind of stopped reading the series. But I don't think I'm never going to reach for Gregory McGuire again, so I'll get rid of this one. I'm just going to move you down because I'm down in the bottom like 3 rows now. This is what I mean. I have To Sleep in a Sea of Stars down here. This has just gone into my inner circle like book drawer that I do every month in my TBRs, and I couldn't remember if I owned it. The reason why is because it's behind the chair. I have the entire, well, I've got the first 2 books and the first 2 sets of short stories, Or Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page, and I have to say I haven't heard anything good about this series, but I have them and I haven't read them. This is back from when I used to collect all the books in a series before I started it. I definitely don't do that anymore, which has its own downfall, because then I'll start a series, and because I have so many books, I won't want to buy the sequel because I want to prioritize something I own, and there's just no good way to buy books, so maybe I should just stop. But I have read one of my favorite, it's that genre of books that I love that you wouldn't expect me to love, which is YA contemporary fantasy. So I love The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page, so that is making me feel like there's still potential for me to enjoy this one, so I will hang on to it. Especially I feel like I do deserve to give it a try, which reminds me I need to remember that we have that pile going on. I do have here, I'm not unhauling these, but I have Malamander and Gargantis by Thomas Taylor, which are only over here because they wouldn't fit on my middle grade shelf, but I feel like I can squeeze them on now, so they will be going over there. I haven't heard good things about this. It's The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye, but I was excited about it for a long time, so I feel like I should keep hold of it and give it a try. That's not something that I look at and think I'm actually never going to read that. There is a chance that I will get to that at some point. Oh, these are interesting. These might go into the pile of ones that I think that I should sample a chapter of, because I have The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender and The Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton. I believe that both of these are fabulism as opposed to fantasy. This was obviously a very hyped book back in the day. I just don't really feel like it's something that I would enjoy. It was risky at the time because fabulism, not my thing, don't like it. But now even more so because it's also YA. So maybe we'll put those two over there. This is going to upset a lot of people, I think, but I don't have a good track record with series. Oh, but then I kept gone. I kind of want to unhaul the Uglies series by Scott Westerfeld. I paid like £1 each for these once again when I was like 20, where there was a chance that I would actually enjoy them. Now I just don't think it's my thing. And I know that this is a beloved series and that some of these things that I'm unhauling that I don't want to read are beloved, but wouldn't you guys rather I read things that I enjoy that are hyped and beloved? Like, I don't know that I'm going to enjoy this, but there's a good chance that I'll enjoy The Lies of Locke Lamora. Wouldn't you rather I read that than this? If you like both of them, wouldn't you rather I read that than this? Wouldn't you rather, if I've read all of the beloved series, all the series that you love, wouldn't you rather that I read new stuff that you hadn't tried or that's lesser known to see like things that I think that I would enjoy and that you think that you might enjoy, but you want somebody's opinion? Wouldn't you rather I read that than this? I could read this now and I could think it's okay. Realistically, I've missed my window on loving it. I don't feel like I could ever love something like this at this point. So wouldn't you rather I put my efforts into something else, even if you love this series? Because I've had people, like, I just did the video where I DNF'd all those series and there's people commenting like, you should read this book and do it in a vlog. And I think you missed the part where I DNF'd this series. I understand that you guys love a lot of things, but if I'm telling you that I don't like something, why are you telling me to read it? Because you loving it isn't going to make me love it anymore, you know? Just thoughts. I don't know whether I'm unhauling this. Try a chapter. I feel like we're opening a whole other can of worms. This is just going to be a chain reaction of videos. We started off with DNFing series, which led to this monster unhaul, which is going to lead to a try a chapter tag, and it will just never end. Straight off gonna say that I'm not ready to let go of Gossip Girl yet. That is staying. I'll never read it, but it's staying. Okay, aside from things like The Ivory Key, which was like a second paperback that came in an Illumicrate or a Fairy Loot, I think this was Illumicrate. So aside from things like this, which I'm not very sure about, I think, oh, I'm gonna unhaul Withering Tights by Louise Renison. I love the Georgia Nicholson series, whole ton of nostalgia for that, one of my favorite things ever. But you know what, actually, I don't think I will. No, I'm gonna keep that. I will read that. I don't know when, but I love Louise Renison. I was gonna say with these, I have so much nostalgia for Georgia Nicholson that I adore it and will always adore it. I don't know if I feel the same way about a different series, but I might. So that can stay. I feel like we're going to do another pass at some point and I'm going to be a little bit more brutal. So we have a couple of TBR carts here. This one is the Unhaul cart, and then over here we have, oh, I could just put those things on the Unhaul cart instead of doing a try a chapter. We'll see what we can clear from this because this is full, but this is just a TBR cart. The top is where I put all of the books that I've read in the month and also my TBR, and then this one we're going to go through first. I'm not sure if there actually is anything on that other one, but this one I can see straight away. What's this? This is published by Scholastic. I remember getting this in a box and thinking that it didn't seem like it was for me, and then it's published by Scholastic and they tend to do very young reading YA, so I think that one can go. These two are the sequels to The 1000th Floor, which is a YA sci-fi. I got these in a trade. I traded a hardback copy of Warbreaker, is that what it's called, by Victoria Aveyard, because I didn't need 2 copies. I wanted one to read and then I was supposed to go and see her, but my mum, it was when my mum died, so I couldn't end up going, and then my friend brought me back a tour edition so that I didn't need the hardback copy that I bought to read, so I could read it before we went to see her, if that makes sense. Anyway, I traded that plain hardback copy for these, and I don't have the first book. It's on Scribd, but I can miss this series now. I feel like I've needed to do this Unhaul for like the last 5 years. This one came in, was it the book, does it say here? The Book Box Club? The Book Club box. Oh, it's got mixed media. It's The Supreme Lie by Geraldine McCaughrean, but it is a dystopian, I think. But I do like things like Scythe. This is so hard because what if I do enjoy these books? I'm gonna keep this one, but one that I really don't think I'm going to enjoy is The Outlaws Scarlet and Brown, being an account of their daring exploits and audacious crimes by Jonathan Stroud, the author of Lockwood & Co. It seems kind of like Wild Westy to me, and as we know from my experience just starting second year of Mistborn, I'm not going to enjoy this. Sometimes I just need books to sit on here for a while and then I can come to like terms with the fact that I don't want to read them, like Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. I've had some of these books so long that it is hurting me a little bit to get rid of them. This one, I wanted to give it a try, but it is just like a YA contemporary romance, which I'm a little bit too old to care about this. It's The Upside of Falling by Alex Light, which was originally a Wattpad book. And in terms of like a cute contemporary romance, it sounds decent. It's just YA, and if I wanted a cute contemporary romance now, then I'd definitely go for something obviously adult, seeing as I do now read adult contemporary romance. Some of these are on, I think that one is, but some of these for sure are on my these books will self-destruct in 12 months, which I actually don't even know if I'm gonna have any books. Oh, the books that I'm not unhauling, the books that I'm throwing to save for a try a chapter tag, maybe I should have those as my self-destructing books instead, because when I'm done with this, I'm not gonna have anything that's gonna self-destruct, because I'll have got rid of it all. Which reminds me, I think that this is a self-destructing book and I actually would really like to read it, which is Sanctuary by V.V. James. This is, I think, one of the first books I got from Illumicrate when I started repping for them. This one was sent to me kind of unsolicited by the publisher. They sent me a pack of arcs and this was in it. It's The Deep Blue Between by Ayesha Haruna Attar, and it's either like contemporary or lit fic, but regardless, it's not my kind of thing. Oh, these can go. These are so dusty. And this one. So we have The Pure Heart by Trudy Tweedy. This one also came in a book box club, which I really like their boxes in terms of like what they're doing, but the books just really aren't for me. This is Chicken House, which once again they tend to publish quite young. And this is this a Scottish one? Yes. Isabel is taken from her island home and the boy that she loves to an isolated grand mansion in the Scottish borderlands. We also have these by Melinda Salisbury. I was recommended these in a Waterstones before I met Curtis, so more than 7 years ago, and somebody recommended this series to me. I think I was buying one of the Lunar Chronicles books and she was like, if you love that, you'll love this. This was so boring, really did not have a good time. And then I never read, I'm annoyed because look, I paid full price from this for Waterstones, or buy one get one half price, because I didn't tend to finish it, because as we've seen with the series video I just did, I'm not very good at DNFing series. So I obviously bought this with the intention to read the last one, but I think I read this series when that one had just been released, so I had to wait a year for this, and I used to reread books before I finished the series, so I never did, and it's just time to let go. I started this and I hated it, but I bought it in New York, which is why I still have it. And it's been so hard for me to let go of it because I bought it from Barnes & Noble when I was in New York, but I don't like it. I have mini dime bars from IKEA in the bottom of this cart that I always forget there. I'm gonna regret this because it's gonna really fuck up my teeth. The Understudy by David Nichols. I have this because David Nichols wrote One Day, which is one of my favorite books ever, and I want to read Us by him. But I don't think the plot of this or the other one that I've just unhauled, which was Starter for 10, is really my thing, so I think I'll just keep Us. This one is a queer, like, coming of age, young adult contemporary. It's actually signed and personalised to me because Gavin interviewed the author, like chaired a Waterstones event, I think, like many years ago when I just met Gavin, and he got me a copy kind of just because he could, but not my kind of thing. Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. I've also put Is It Dash and Lily's Book of Dares in here, so same kind of vibe. Oh, I'm surprised that this is here. This is The Elites by Natasha Nyan, who is the author of Girls of Paper and Fire. This is, I think, her debut. I really like Girls of Paper and Fire, so I should move this onto my actual shelves, I feel. This one I've heard absolutely nobody say anything good about it, which is a shame because the cover is gorgeous. And that is Sisters of the Winterwood by Rena Rosner. I think Ashley was unhauling this, so I took it off her hands, and she didn't like it, and Jade didn't like it, which means that I might. You know what, we're gonna put this back. This one, oh, is this in, I think this one is in my self-destructing book, so I'll just keep hold of it till March, but I have very little interest in this. And this one, I don't know if this is in my self-destructing books as well, but I'll keep hold of it until then, I guess, just because it's easier to actually have the books. But once again, it's a collection of short stories, and I just need to accept that I don't like short stories. That is, from here, a big old stack of books just from this unhaul cart. But I mean, realistically, the chances of me unhauling from here was obviously going to be a lot higher. Oh, just very briefly, I don't think I want to unhaul anything on here, but this is like my books that I've read this month, and my TBR is actually, I've just filled my December TBR this morning, so that is this stack here. And then these, apart from this bit, all of them are just random like subscription box books. Some of them I'm really interested in, and some of them aren't subscription box books, because we have like Middle Game by Sean McGuire here, Winter House by, is it Ben Gutterson? And then I really want to read like A Song of Wraith and Ruin, and there is Sisters Grimm on here, which I'm really excited about. But just generally, like, there's nothing on here that I immediately want to unhaul. Tucking myself right into this corner, I've also put the light on to give us a bit of an assist because the lighting is not great right now. But there's not going to be like a great deal of things on here because these are hardback shelves at the bottom. So like the bottom two are just like miscellaneous hardbacks. The top four are all author shelves. Now my idea with these was that they were going to be for my favorite authors, but V Schwab has a shelf here. And I also have like a lot of V Schwab trinkets that should be up there. So I've got lots of V Schwab trinkets and things, which is why this has remained a shelf. But I think I actually want to dismantle this and have Robin Hobb on here instead and rearrange the shelf in the living room. Sanderson is at the top. Not all of my Sanderson books fit on here, but there's nothing I want to unhaul. Coming into Schwab, I don't need the Monsters of Verity duology because I didn't enjoy it. I also don't need these 2 copies of Gallon. I read it and I enjoyed it enough. My problem with this is that I don't want to dismantle the shelf because of all of my visual trinkets that I actually like. But I can move 1 copy of Addie into the living room once I've put Robin Hobb in here. So then it's just these that I really need to find a home for, and this shelf is just like there's better uses for it essentially. The next shelf down, can you guys, yeah, you can see this. So this is my G. Christoph shelf, who is kind of still one of my favorite authors. Love Illuminate, really like the Aurora cycle, Nevernight, one of my favorite series. I really like the Storm Dancer series. Empire of the Vampire, middling, liked it, wasn't obsessed with it, gave it 4 stars. But something that G. Christoph has written that I really didn't like, the Lifelike trilogy. So this is his like steampunky apocalyptic YA series, and we have Lifelike, which is the first book, which I really like the end of this and all of the plot twists, but it has like a Robot Wars kind of feel to it. The main character is also a cyborg. It's like scrap heapy, and the vibe just isn't really for me. And then J. Christoph does that thing when he writes YA that Brandon Sanderson does that really annoys me, where the writing style is really like childish and like jokey, and I just don't think it's necessary and it really irritates me. So these can go as well. Just awkwardly swatting in the corner down here. I'm gonna try and back it up a bit. Okay, so this is my Sarah J. Maas shelf, and then I have Sarah J. Maas Overspill right at the top, but these are all just like hardbacks essentially. There's no like rhyme or reason as to why these ones in particular are here. I'm not sure that there is actually much to unhaul down here. One of the only things I would consider is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, because I didn't really like it. But I do really like the cover, and I want the Enchantment of Raven's Fairy Loot edition whenever they release that matches Vespertine, and you can't buy an Enchantment of Ravens as far as I'm aware. I think they're going to do them as a bundle with Sorcery of Thorns and an Enchantment of Ravens, so I might as well just keep hold of it and swap it out for the other edition. And then should I get rid of this? The Guinevere Deception by Kirsten White. I've read one Kirsten White book, which was The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein, and I didn't really enjoy it, and I haven't heard good things about this one either. I haven't heard any good things about Kirsten White aside from And I Darken, which I have an art copy of, mainly because it says Buffy Summers on the front. I also have Slayer by Kirsten White, which I'm not convinced that I'm going to enjoy. This is the Illumicrate edition of this as well. I might keep this for now, and then at some point I'll pick up a Kirsten White book, and if I don't like that one as well, then it's all gonna go, I feel. Kind of unplanned, I was on my way upstairs to do my romance shelves, and I came past my shoe cabinet, which has just 3 nice looking books on it, one of which is The Painted Man by Peter V. Brett, and I have just DNF'd this series because I didn't like this one all that much, so this one can go as well. Oh, and before we go upstairs, actually, let's go. There's a couple of things in the living room I think that I want to unhaul. So here is my one shelf in the living room, and are they both together? They might both be together. As I've mentioned, I'm going to move all of my Robin Hobb, that's a lot, and put something else in that place. But right on the end over here we have a Red Queen collector's edition that has very little that is special about it. I've been disappointed with that since the day that I got it. And the Illumicrate editions of From Blood and Ash, I only have the first one, and I have 3 of the Fairy Loot ones. Like, I bought the set with the first 3 in it, and I didn't get the rest of the Illumicrate ones, so that can go as well. Do I want to keep, this is the bane of my existence. I'm gonna keep it. But this one can definitely go. I did decide to bob up here. I don't think there's actually all that much that we're gonna unhaul. I'm torn about All the Feels by Olivia Dade, which was one of the first Illumicrate Afterlight books. Aaron pretty much told me that it's terrible and told me some examples of why, and I'm kind of not sure, but I feel like I'll try it. I don't know. And then this is like, all of these are pretty much new because as you guys know, it's me reading romance is a very recent thing, aside from the bit of fantasy romance that I like. You know what can go actually? The Perfect Poo. Gavin got me this for Christmas because he thinks it's funny. I disagree, so I won't be reading it. I won't, so it can go. And yeah, everything else on here is something that I've acquired within the last like year and a half. Everything that was on here that I've read and didn't like, I've already unhauled. So that leaves us with one more room, which is my spare bedroom. Oh, look how blue this is. I'm just gonna first turn a light on and reset this so it's not quite so harsh looking. You're balanced on the bed, so everything is just a smidge unstable. Don't think there's much off these shelves that I'm going to get rid of either. They're all subscription boxes or other special editions. So these are all of a lot of these short paperbacks that have come in subscription boxes. Some of these I know I'm not gonna like, but it's a case of like I'll have to try them to find out which ones they are. These ones are all of the Goldsboro Science Fiction and Fantasy Fellowship. Now I do know for sure that I'm going to be unhauling some of these, Among Thieves being one of them. I also have, I'll show you my little hidey hole of books in a minute, but there are more Goldsboro ones that I will be unhauling, but I'm saving them until we come to the point where I do a recap on the Goldsboro books I've read, talk about the subscription, whether I'm keeping it, and then I will also unhaul the books then that I didn't like or don't want from the subscription. And then moving down, the majority of these, not all of them, but the majority are Illumicrate books. And then moving further down, we have mainly Fairy Loot ones here. Those are a mix of Book of the Month and Adult Fairy Loot. And then right at the bottom, we have some like duplicates and also some arcs. So at a glance, yeah, there's nothing on the shelf that I'm at the minute wanting to unhaul. There is a lot of stuff on here that I'm dubious about, but I do want to give everything a try before I decide to unhaul it. So if I flip you around, I know there's nothing on top over here, but this table was up in the attic. It was in the house and we needed a side table here, so it's just ended up here. It's literally some MDF with like a curtain over the top, but we have, these are all Book of the Month thrillers, which will I imagine be unhauled eventually, but I want to read them first. And then we have my Illumicrate editions of the Greenbone Saga, and then my little hidey hole, I don't think you're ready for this, is in here. Look. So we have some Book of the Month books down here. We also have some more Goldsboro books that I will for sure be unhauling, like Age of Ash, Absinthe, and Justice of Kings. But like I said, I can't do any of that yet. These books are just going to live here for a while. Not, some of them aren't there because I don't want to read them. I just needed a little bit of overspill space. So I'm not sure exactly how many of these you guys can see, but there are 6 stacks of books around me. There's 2 big ones here, a smaller one over here, and then 3 smallish ones on this side. So all of that adds up to 75 books that I'm going to be unhauling. And then I am also going to be adding all of these because I've decided that life's too short for me to care. So we have Uglies, Pretties, Extras, and Specials by Scott Westerfeld. Just don't think there's any point. Like I said, if you guys have nostalgia for a series like this, that's great. I'm glad you enjoy it. But I'm not going to enjoy the series now as much as I would have a lot earlier. So I don't see much point in me reading it for me to just have read a popular YA series that has very little relevance to my life at this point. And then we have Honor Among Thieves, which I'm willing, I don't know if I'll still have these books in my house. I probably won't by the time this video goes live, but I am willing to let people change my mind on this one because I literally know nothing about it. And then we have The Strange and Beautiful Sorrow of Ava Lavender and The Price Guide to the Occult, both by Leslie Walton. This one I feel kind of sad about just because it is so hyped, and like with the Ugly series, I feel like it's something I should have read, but I'm not sure that now is a good time for me to read it. I don't know if there's much point. So that brings our total up to 82 books in total. I'm hesitant to say that I'm done because I know there is still... Brie, do you have anything in here? Is there anything in there? No? Okay then. This is all gonna go tits up. These books are gonna go flying in a minute. So right now I'm hesitant to say that this unhaul is completely done because I know that I still have at least 2 weeks, I think, until I'm posting this. Right now, I kind of feel like I just need to focus on getting these out of my house. I do have, I don't know if some of you guys have noticed, on my website where I sell candles, graceandhoneyuk.net, I have added a tab for books where I will be adding books that I am unhauling. Sadly, from this stack, I feel like a lot of the best ones have already been claimed by my best friend, who's taken this massive stack of hardbacks here that, well, there's paperbacks as well, but it has like Scythe, Bonecryer's Moon, and Bonecryer's Dawn, all of the Witchland books, etc. But if there is anything that I've decided to sell, it will be on there and you can keep checking back there intermittently to see what there is. But I doubt there's a lot from this unhaul that I'm gonna put up for sale because a lot of them are just paperbacks, so I will just donate them to charity. But aside from that, guys, I think we're pretty much done here. I am very proud of myself. I just feel like I've needed a mental reset for quite some time now, and the DNFing of all of the series and then unhauling all of these books is definitely helping with that. So thank you for coming along with me. Please let me know if you enjoyed this style of video. I can't imagine I will do too many of these because I don't feel like my turnover of books is high enough for me to be able to do an 85 book unhaul with any kind of regularity. As you guys know, my book hauls tend to be like between 15 and 30 books once every like 3 months. I don't normally do unhauls like this, but yeah, let me know down in the comments whether you liked this video or not. Aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish candle website, the Etsy for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're ready to go when nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.